name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Today we have several illustrious guests. We're going to be talking about Prince Hall Masonry. We attended the United Supreme Council, Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Prince Hall Affiliation, Northern Jurisdiction, USA Incorporated, and at the Hilton Hotel, Milwaukee City Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the 121st annual session was held, hosted by the Wisconsin Council of Deliberation. Dr. Samuel Broughton Jr. was the Sovereign Grand Commander. And there we have several people interested in Masonry, so we thought we would invite several guests to talk about Masonry. We have Archie C. Center, past Grand Master of Masons, State of Illinois and jurisdiction, where he served 3 years as Grand Master. We have past Master Raymond Tucker, Rufus Mitchell Lodge number 107, Waukegan, Illinois. He's also a member of the North Shore Consistory number 91, which he'll discuss later. We have Mr. Don Merritt, past Master of Rufus Mitchell Lodge number 107, also a District Deputy Grand Master, North Shore Consistory number 91 member. And we have past Master Curtis Dorsey of Rufus Mitchell Lodge number 107, past Commander-in-Chief of North Shore Consistory number 91. We're going to ask past Grandmaster Archie Center to tell us just what is Masonry.
Thank you for inviting me, Brother Brooks. And Masonry is a way, we say, of life for especially Masons. It's a way of life that we have formed ourselves into groups to participate in. And we normally do things most organizations don't do.
You call yourself a Prince Hall Mason. Why Prince Hall?
Prince Hall was the first organizer of Prince Hall Mason. African Lodge number 459 was the first lodge of Negro Freemasonry in America, and it was formed by Prince Hall. Well, Prince Hall, we are not real sure, but we are thinking that maybe that he came from British Barbados in 1765 when he landed in Boston. Now there is some concern about his age group. Grimshaw said that he was born in 1748, and others said that he was born in 1735. So we have a little controversy about his age. But we do know that Prince Hall was an Afro-American, and he was the first man to be initiated into the American colonies here in America as a Master Mason.
Why was there a separate group, Negro Masons from Caucasian Masons?
At that time, you know, it's like everything else, segregation was there. And the white Masons didn't accept the black Masons, black men, as men at that particular time. And this was way back in the 1700s. White Masonry only first came to this country about 1700. So in 1775 is when Prince Hall first went to General Cage on Cox Hill to become a Mason. And he was the first man, as I said, was initiated into the order of the American colonists as a Master Mason. So therefore, that's the reason why we claim ourselves as Prince Hall Masons.
Past Grandmaster Center, is there an effort now for the two groups to at least recognize each other?
There is no effort now that you can recognize. Now, in the southern states, there still is, but there's a lot of northern states have signed a compact. Now, I'm from the state of, right now, of New Mexico, and we signed a compact down there where we visit any lodge that we want to visit down there, and they can visit us. We work together, we participate together, and we do things together.
It's my understanding that you made an attempt to get acquainted with the white Masons by having breakfast and so forth with them?
Yes, Judge English, England.
Ingalls?
Ingalls, Judge Ingalls, at the time was Grand Master of the AF and AM Lodge of Illinois, and I was Grand Master of Prince Hall Mason. And he lived in Waukegan, and I lived in North Chicago, so we got together and we used to discuss things that was happening in Prince Hall Masonry. Well, he would invite me to his Grand Lodge, and I would invite him to our Grand Lodge, and that's the way we got started with the recognition of each other in Prince Hall Masonry.
Past Grand Master Center, what piqued your interest in getting involved with Masonry?
As a young man, you always, as the brothers had said once before, you always watch things that's happening, and you would watch a Mason, and I understood that they was a good organization, and they was doing things in the community, and I just wanted to be part of something that was being recognized. And at that time, there was only 2 recognitions when I joined Masonry that you could get, and that was the church and Masonry. There was only 2 things that you could really join and be proud of.
Well, past Grand Master Center, you were a Mason, an operative Mason. I guess you were a carpenter, right? Were you in construction?
I was in construction, yes. At one time, we had a little company around here called Adco Development.
Okay.
We used to do a lot of work in North Chicago.
Well, tell us about state of Illinois, your activities as a Grand Master.
As a Grand Master, first I would like to say that being Grand Master came hard for me because I was out of the Chicago area, and I was out up north here, and wasn't too much recognition going on for a person. And I had to work real hard to become a Grand Master by attending everything in Chicago. But as a Grand Master, I have many programs. You have a lot of officers who help support you, but you have many programs, and you have to do much travel. Even we have lodges in Germany, and I had to even go to Germany to visit some of those lodges at the time that I was Grand Master.
That's the jurisdiction. We say you're the Grand Master for Illinois and jurisdiction, so Germany would be your jurisdiction also.
Yes, Baumholder number 144 was our jurisdiction in Germany, and I made 2 trips over there during the time. I was not Grand Master the last time I went, but I was Grand Master the first time I went.
By being Grand Master, you have several assistants too. I guess they're called, what, District Deputy Grand Masters?
Yes, you have District Deputy Grand Master, but your next assistant is the Deputy Grand Master. He's next to you, so if anything happened to you as Grand Master, he can take over. It's like a Vice President. Then, as it was said, that you can't cover the whole state at all times, so we had 80 Deputy Grand Masters throughout the state of Illinois to attend to the lodges. We had 80 Deputy Grand Masters and 80 District Deputy Grand Lectures.
I know at one time Masons were very powerful as a fraternity. Is it because that was probably the only fraternity years ago that African Americans could join?
That's true, because at one time Illinois had 18. When I joined Masonry, Illinois had 18,000 Masons in it, and now we are down to maybe, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000. But anyway, what had happened at that time, we was powerful back in those days because we were strong and we had numbers.
About powerful too, you mean the networking and fellowship and so forth?
That's correct. Also, even we don't discuss politics, but we was also politically strong, because if you have 18,000 votes out there that you can control, a lot of people would like to have you on their side.
Right. Well, tell us, what is, you mentioned that you're in New Mexico now, but are you still active in Masonry in New Mexico?
Yes, in New Mexico, I'm very active. They depend on me a lot because New Mexico has a small amount of Masons. They only have 240 in the entire state.
Okay.
And they are scattered apart. It takes you 4 hours almost to get from where I'm at to the next location. But we do hold schools. I go down there and I instruct them, and I do things that I was doing back here in Illinois when I was lecturing.
Well, we're very happy to see you here, and as I met from the beginning of the program, we met at the United Supreme Council in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I'm very happy about the opportunity to get as many of our distinguished guests with us to talk about. But now, in talking about Masonry, why would a person, listen to this program would want to become a Mason?
There are several reasons that he should become a Mason, I think, because there are so many things that you can learn. Now, we say that we are not a secret organization. We are an organization with secrets. Okay. But there's a lot of things that you can learn. And I've learned so much from Masonry. It's because we have programs in Masonry that teach you not only about Masonry, but it can teach you how to live out in your social life or your business life. We have what we call a leadership training school. It can instruct you how to do things in your business. It can instruct you how to run your business or whatever you're doing in the community.
I remember when I came to this area, I had decided to get employment in this area, and I didn't know whether Waukegan was on the map. I didn't know North Chicago, Waukegan. And a friend of mine, Mr. Lowell McGoy in East St. Louis, told me, he said, when you go into the area, you find T.R. Starnes Sr. And I said, oh yeah, thank you, So I got into the area, and the first church that I went to, Mount Sinai Institution Baptist Church, that was T.R. Starnes Sr. And so we started talking, and the rest is history. But had I not, found T.R. Starnes Sr., I probably wouldn't have become a Mason, at this time. And so you never know. But I'd like to talk with Past Master Raymond Tucker. And Past Master Tucker, tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background. Who is Raymond?
That's a very good question, Brother Brooks. It's kind of hard to talk about yourself. Some folks can, but I think I'm modest, and I let my work speak for me. But I am a 30-year veteran. I should put it this way. I retired from the United States Navy after 30 years. And presently I work at Great Lakes in the capacity of passenger transportation, where I'm in charge of moving approximately 75,000 folks a year to and from different duty stations. I'm a member of Trinity AME Church in Waukegan. Family man and a Mason.
Pastor Master Tucker, you had quite an accomplishment in the Navy. You were a Master Chief, retired, right?
Yes, sir. My opinion, that's a very important milestone for any enlisted man in the Navy, because only 1% of the Navy can be a Master Chief at any one given time.
Wow.
So I'm proud of that.
And so, what command were you at? Were you at the Naval Training Center, specific command?
Well, when I first started off, I was with the Navy Administrative Command. And Navy changes quite often. So they changed from the Naval Administrative Command, and I was in personnel, so they made a personnel support unit.
Okay.
So I was in personnel support detachment. Actually, I was the one that started personnel support detachment on the base.
Pastor Master Tucker, there's a military group of Masons too, right?
Yes, sir. That's Williamsville Military Lodge, 147.
Okay. Were you involved in the forming of that lodge?
Yes, sir. I gave a lot of energy to forming Williamsville. We had a lot of Masons when we had Fort Sheridan down in Highwood. And they was here, but there wasn't going to meetings. So we had 3 or 4 Masons from there come up to Ruth Mitchell and inquired about forming a lodge down in Fort Sheridan. And I think Brother Center was very instrumental in getting that lodge down there.
Well, tell us about, you're past master of Rufus Mitchell Lodge number 107, but there's a uniqueness about a lodge. There are many different houses in a lodge. Maybe you can tell us about those houses without giving away a lot of secrets?
Well, Brother Brooks, I think there's about, let me see, we have the Blue Lodge, which is the foundation of Masonry.
Okay.
Then we have the Holy Royal Lodge. And then we have Royal Select Masters. We have Knights Templars. We have Scotch Rite Mason, which consists of the Lodge of Perfection, the Chapter Rosecroix, and the Consistory. And we have female bodies which correspond to each one of those houses. We have their Shriners. And we have something new here in the state of Illinois, which I am currently the head of. It's called the York-Rite Cross of Honor. And we only have about 20 members in Illinois, and we only have about less than 200 throughout the domain of Prince-Hall Masonry. Because it's very unique, because you have to have served, been elected and served as a worshipful master, a most excellent, excellent high priest of a Royal Lodge chapter, a thrice illustrious master of a Royal Select Council, and an eminent commander of Knights Templars. And when you have served in those 4 capacities, you can be invited to petition to be Knight York Cross of Honor.
Now, you have to be invited to participate, but if someone wants to initially come into Masonry, then they're not invited. How do they get in?
Well, if you want to become a Mason, I think you see signs around. To be one, you have to ask one.
And they'll understand that once they join, right?
Right. To be one, you have to ask one. So, like we do not go out soliciting people to come into Masonry. You have to come on your own free will and cause.
Because it may be something that they may be shocked at when they get in, right? So they have to. I cannot blame illustrious Tucker for my getting into something. You know, I have to volunteer to get into it myself.
You're correct, and you know, a lot of folks think that Masonry is a religion. But I like to put that straight. We are not a religion, but our principles are based on religion.
So if a Mason would read the Bible, then they would understand probably the Bible a little better, maybe.
I guarantee.
But tell us this, you have so many houses, though, but do you have the same group of people belonging to the various houses?
Yes and no. We, it's like anything. It's called how dedicated you are.
Okay.
You know, you could become a master. You can be a master mason and be grand master. Don't have to go any further. But myself, I think I'm in about 9 different houses, and each one you go into, you know, you got to put your time, and your money and your efforts into it.
And it is a learning experience, right?
It is a learning experience.
Yeah. Tell us Past Master Tucker, you also are district deputy grand master in addition to the houses that you belong to.
Yes, sir. Brother Sinner was the one that got me on my way. Brother Sinner was running up and down to Chicago a lot by himself.
Okay.
And I don't think I was a master when I started going with Brother Sinner to some of these places. But he influenced me on a lot of stuff that I'm doing. Like I say, you know, they always tell you when you're doing something, try to bring somebody along, and that's what you did. And I know Brother Merritt over there in Cleveland because I have that same philosophy. As I go, I try to take someone, and he just happened to be my little guru over there. So.
I'm sure there's probably a lot of lodges that make you an honorary member too, right?
Oh, I got about 5 or 6 of them, but that's an honor too.
Right. Tell us about, there's another house, well, not a house, and maybe an extension or Eastern Stars. Tell us about Eastern Stars.
Eastern Stars is an auxiliary of the Master Masons.
Okay.
And to become a member of the Order of Eastern Stars, you must be the wife, mother, daughter, or sister of a Master Mason. In Illinois, and since this is varying times where we have a lot of professional ladies that's getting married later on in years, and we have I don't think we've gotten away from the bloodline, but we have opened the doors so they can come in to Beats and Stars, because there's a lot of good talent out there, and it's something that they could learn from, help them in life.
Tell us about the history of Emblem Chapter number 140, Order of the Eastern Star.
I think you'd be better enabled to do that, Brother Brooks, because I'm a newcomer to Emblem Chapter. I can't tell you all the history.
Well, while we're on that topic, Past Grandmaster Center, you want to enlighten us on the Emblem Chapter number 140.
Yeah, that's an adopted right of Rufus Mr. Body, Emblem Chapter. And they was, like you said earlier, as we was talking, your wife, Sister Brooks, and my brother Bobby Thompson was, well, at that particular time, we adopted them at that time, and we had something at the YMCA on Genesee Street was something like a ceremony, a marriage ceremony, where we adopted the Eastern Star. And that is what the brothers are supposed to do. They're supposed to look out for their sisters, we call them our sisters, and they're supposed to look out for them and furnish them a place to meet. But they have laws, regulations, just like the Blue Lodge, and the apparent bodies does not interfere with what they do.
And part of that history is that they cannot meet unless a Master Mason is present, right?
That's right. You have a worthy matron, but to have a worthy matron, if a chapter, you also have to have a worthy patron, which is to sit there and supervise the sisters.
Okay. Well, along with Masons, there has to be a lot of education that takes place. And we're going to ask Past Master Don Merritt to tell us about Masonic education.
Oh, Masonic education, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us here this evening. But Masonic education is all-encompassing, from the first day that you get into Masonry, all the way through. I think it's a learning process. It's a way to learn about the operation of the lodge, learn a little bit about yourself, learn a little bit about the history of Masonry. It's an ever-going process, and it crosses all barriers, all boundaries, as a matter of fact, religious boundaries, as well as Masonic.
Past Master Merit, is it a requirement or to attend classes if you want to advance in Masonry?
Yeah, that's a definite.
That's stipulation.
There's an ongoing process. It can go anywhere from months, 3 to as many as 6, 7 months sometimes for attendance at class, and attendance is taken. Individuals have to show up at a prescribed time. They only last a short period of time, but it's a lot of good information that's passed along in those Masonic classes, so individuals have to attend.
Past Master Merit, does the Grand Lodge provide additional education for the lodges?
Additional education?
In other words, you as an instructor provide education for the lodge.
Yes.
But does the Grand Lodge provide education?
The Grand Lodge provides us ritual and constitution and bylaws, and that's where our education is derived from, and anything other than that that talks about the imminence of Masonry or some of the rituals or habits or behaviors that have gone on historically, that's brought out in those classes as well. I primarily am not the facilitator or trainer, if you will, in the Blue Lodge. I'm primarily in the Consistory, where I'm the Dean of Instruction there. So I deal in a different connotation. So it's not the primary 3 degrees that I'm dealing with.
Now you mentioned about consistory, but what does consistory mean?
Well, a consistory is another level, if you will, of Masonry. It's dealing from the 4th degree all the way through the 32nd degree, and the individual that's overall responsible for that body is called the Commander-in-Chief, who at this time is Otis W. Cromartie Sr., and he provides guidance for members of that body. And the consistory is composed of 2 other houses, which is the Lodge of Perfection and the Council of, the Chapter of Rose Court.
Past Master Merit, you were head of the Lodge of Perfection at one time.
Thrice Postmaster.
Thrice Postmaster.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your responsibility there.
Well, my responsibility there is primarily the introduction into consistory, basically. Individuals, that's where the education really starts there, as well as to get people involved in community activities per se. We want to enlighten the community in regards to a lot of things that are going on in the community. We want to bring information to those brothers that will be helpful for their families, be helpful for the community. Our primary interest is to rejuvenate our communities, as well as to help ourselves out so that we're more educated and aware of things that are going on in our community.
And you have forums too, where you bring speakers from the community to come in to talk about what they're doing in the community.
Sure do. We invite community speakers to come in. It could be issues, it's not a political thing, but it could be dealing with taxes or
voter registration,
any kind of topic that is relative or relevant to our community. That's what we try to focus in on. So health issues, it could be anything about diabetes or cholesterol or prostate cancer or anything, all those kinds of things.
Past Master Merit, tell us about your military background. That's you probably had more years in the military than you had in civilian life, but you attained Master Chief or something?
In the Air Force, it was Master Sergeant. I'm a retired Air Force Master Sergeant. 21 years, 2 months, and 27 days, I might add. And it's ironic, but as of today, I've been retired for 10 years from in the Air Force as of this day.
Right.
And primarily my job in the Air Force, I started out as a heating technician.
Okay.
If it had a heating element in it, I was responsible for fixing it.
Okay.
It could be a toaster to a high pressure boiler.
Okay.
And I did that for 8.5 years, loved it. Being from Chicago, I knew I could make money doing that, but it was not my forte, and I just decided that people are my business, and I work best there. So I cross-trained, as we call it in the Air Force, to a career field called Equal Opportunity. Oh. And what I did there is I was the advisor to the commander on equal opportunity matters, and what I basically did was to collect information of perceived discrimination from individuals that active duty military members. And once I gathered this information and presented the preponderance of evidence, as they call it, to the commander, and made recommendations to this commander as to what actions he could take or she could take to resolve these issues.
And you use your background and forte in the civilian life too when you retired too, right?
Yes, I've continued that. When I retired, I came on to help out Great Lakes, the Navy. You know, I did that as a counselor instructor. I came on as a counselor instructor at the Family Support, what it was called, the Family Service Center at that time.
Okay.
And I worked there for about a year and a half, and I left there and I went down to Chicago, where I became a human resources generalist at Children's Memorial Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And I left there and went into the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, where I tried to learn a little expertise there as well to help the Army out. And I stayed there about a year and a half as the assistant program manager there. And I got an opportunity to come back to Great Lakes as the counselor instructor as a GS employee, where I'm now employed. Mm-hmm. And my job there is to assist service members and spouses as they prepare to transition out of the military back to civilian lifestyle, mm-hmm. And into the workplace. Writing resumes, preparing for interviews, how to dress for success, mm-hmm. Those kinds of things. The things that you and I have had to go through to find a job, that's what I'm primarily trying to prepare them to do. And I work with some very qualified, highly motivated individuals with the state of Illinois, as well as some other members of our staff that provide that instruction to them.
Past Master Merritt, what piqued your interest to get involved with Masonry?
Well, ironically, it was a white man.
No.
I was stationed down at Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, mm-hmm. and this guy named McCann, he asked me one day, because I was working with a civilian, okay. And he asked me, he says, Don, he says, you a Mason? I said, no, Mac, I'm not a Mason. I don't know anything about it. He said, well, you look like you ought to be in Masonry. He said, you ought to become a Prince Hall Mason. He said, make sure you go Prince Hall. Well, I didn't understand what that meant at the time, but I decided that I was just going to pursue it. So I came home and I asked my dad, who has since passed, mm-hmm. I've asked him, I said, what is Masonry? He said, Masonry, it's a good organization. You ought to join it. And so I tried for several years. As a matter of fact, it was about 9.5 years that I really tried to become a member of the order, mm-hmm. until I came here in the Waukegan area and I ran into a Mason, mm-hmm. and I asked him about it, and he says, don't worry about it, I'll take care. Mm-hmm. And the rest is history since 1986.
And you've been very active. You've been Secretary of Lodge as well as Master of Lodge.
Well, it's like Past Master Tucker says, if you love something, you get involved in it. And I started out being your assistant, as a matter of fact, as assistant secretary.
I trained you well.
You trained me very well. And I've risen to various heights and moved about the lodge and filled those stations there. And eventually I was blessed to become the worship master. I've gone on since to work in other houses, where I was a thrice potent master in the Lodge of Perfection. And also recently I just left the chair as the thrice illustrious master of the newly established Nelson H. Tate Sr., Council number 21, Royal and Select Masters.
Okay, okay. Well, Past Master Merritt, tell us, did you ever try to get your family involved in the fraternity?
Yes and no. My family is always involved. My family is me. Everything okay. I do it strictly for my family. Okay. There's nothing I haven't achieved in my lifetime if it wasn't for the inspiration of my family. But as far as them coming into Masonry or the Eastern Stars or any kind of pendant body of this order, you have to come on your own free will and accord.
Well, it does mean a great deal to having that support, because you probably would not have achieved as many accolades that you have without the support of your family.
My family is absolute. From my mother and father to my sisters to my brothers now. That's the other reason that I came into Masonry, because I had 6 sisters and no brothers.
Oh, okay.
And so I felt that this was an opportunity for me to gain me some brothers, and I have over about 4,000 of them now, so, in Illinois alone. So that's why I'm in Masonry.
Well, tell me about any leisure time activities. You seem so involved in your work and also Masonry. Do you have any time of your own?
Well, some Nintendo every now and then. But my time is, I'm spreading myself pretty thin. I have my mother and my sisters in Chicago. that I have to deal with. I have my job that I'm responsible for, and I have whatever little time that I can spare and give to Masonry, I try to do that. In addition to being a district deputy grand master, I'm a past master, and I have a responsibility to my lodge to support my worshipful master, who is Lattimore Zachary Jr., who is the current worshipful master, and whatever he asks of me, if I can do it, I'll certainly try.
There are many social events sponsored by Masonry too, your lodge too, right? It's not all work. There's some.
Oh, it is all work. Just trust me. It is all work.
There's some activities. For example, you have a black and white ball that's coming up.
Coming up this weekend, June 1st. That's right. In addition to that, cornerstone ceremonies for erection of new buildings. We participate in that. We also participate in quite a few things. Easter sunrise service, St. John's Day, quite a few. And then the other bodies of the Masonic Order have their activities, and if you're a member of those, which I am, Past Master Tucker said he's a member of about 9 of them. I think I'm about 7 of them.
Okay.
And you spread yourself into those activities as well as best you can, in addition to taking care of home. So.
We have Past Master Curious Dorsey, and he's a Marine by trade.
Yeah, I was wondering, listening to this Air Force, Navy, and
right.
Army
Bring the
stuff.
Marines in. You know, it wasn't planned like this either, you know, Navy, Air Force, Marine.
I just let them share the port.
But tell us about your background in, well, Marine, why don't we stay with it, the Marine. How did you get involved with the Marine Corps?
Well, I had seen a movie, Jack Webb. He was this main actor of DI. And I thought it was a joke. My father was the hardest DI I've ever been around in my life. I mean, he was a packet type guy. You either hacked it or you packed it, one or the other. And my brother-in-law, both my brother and I both went into the Marine Corps. We both laughed at boot camp because we lived through boot camp. Boot camp was a lot easier than being at home. I had a lot of perfect attendance days at school. He had a list. He had some old, before this new modern slick tape, he would put that old piece of black tape on the refrigerator. We call it the W list. If you were out of school that day and you didn't have a note from the nurse, he wanted the windows, walls, wax, all that stuff. But by the time he got home, so it was easier to stay in school and learn. And he made us take the hard way in school. I took shop as a senior with the freshmen because he wouldn't allow it. Made sure I had all the other credits as an elective, but he made me take 1 year of drafting before he let me take a general shop class. So and the Marine Corps was pretty good to me. That's all I ever did, and that was basically teach. I was in the infantry for quite a while, but after that I ended up at Quantico, Virginia, Marine Corps School. So I did a lot of instructing, and when I went to college, I got out of the Marine Corps in '66, and I got married to Barbara Harris at the time, and started my education. I had children. When I finished a BA degree, I always tell youngsters, you don't have any excuses. I had 4 children when I graduated. So there was no excuse. I went to school during the day and worked at night. And I babysat. I stayed up with the kids and studied. Well, my wife, we alternated working, and we made it. And then when I finished by the time I finished a master's degree, I had 5 children. So I just kept going, you know, and it was a blessing. The Marine Corps to me gave me a lot of discipline, a lot of self-discipline, and a lot of pride, basically.
By being an educator too, I understand you had a daughter just finished law school, right?
Yeah, she went to Harvard as an undergraduate, just finished, then she went to Columbia Law School in New York. She works in New York City right now.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, what piqued your interest to get involved in Masonry?
I had a bunch of uncles in Alabama. I used to go to Alabama every year to spend my summers. And I used to watch my mother's uncles. All of them were Masons, and the extended family. And they were all went to the AME church there. And I was always watching. Back then, children could be seen but not heard. And I watched that. These are quality guys, a lot of character. And I didn't join any college fraternities, going to college or anything. And I noticed Masons carry themselves a lot differently than any other. I've seen the sororities, the women, and I've seen the fraternities. And I've never seen anyone conduct themselves quite like the Masons. And I had a friend, John Webb. Both he and I started teaching at Neal back in 1973 as language arts and social studies teachers, and he joined. And he never talked much about it, but and I knew a lot of guys around here who were Masons. I knew past Grandmaster Senna. I didn't know Tucker at the time. I knew Bobby Thompson. I knew all these guys around. And they were all Masons, and these guys had done things. Clee Nelson and Aaron Cunningham. I lived right back of him. He was always after me. But he wanted me to be a Shriner, you know, up there at the playhouse, so to speak. But he was always after me to join, and I told him when I had time. Willie Simmons lived across the street from me. I was trapped between two. They were always after me, and these two guys were upright guys. And I told them when I got time, once I finished school and had a little lull in time, I would consider it. And one day I was talking to Webb, and Webb said, well, if you think you're ready, he said, I can get you an application. I said, well, you do that. And he did, and I was interviewed. And I've never regretted. My only regret is that I didn't join earlier. I didn't join as a younger man. As I said, I've traveled all over the world, but in my travels to Africa, they had just assumed that my brother Jim and I were Masons. They were just embracing us, and we just thought they had some funny handshakes, and didn't understand. And I relived that over and over again. The guys that met us in the airport and all around. And when I go back again, then I know exactly what to do, what to say, as I go. So I've learned that Masonry is a progressive science. You learn all the time. You'll never learn all of it. It's so much.
Past Master Dorsey, you have been progressive too within the organization, because you were your past master of your lodge, your past commander-in-chief, your past illustrious potentate. But tell us, how were you able to manage to use the same principles on each position?
I think leadership is one thing. I think the quality of a leader, we used to learn in the Marine Corps, if no one is following you, you're not leading anything. So, you know, people, you have to be willing to step up. And if people follow you, I don't like to use the word charisma a lot, but I've been like Donnie was in the class ahead of me, and I watched these guys, and you don't know what to expect next, because everything is, as Past Master Grandmaster Senna says, there's some secrets, and every degree is different as you go up, and you have to learn. And as you watch these other guys, and you figure, I said, you know, they made it through, I could make it through. And so there's a lot of reading involved. People don't understand. A lot of youngsters, they think you just go and you just made a Mason. That's not true. You have to study like mad, and you have to be proficient, or you don't go on to the next degree. And they're not afraid to tell you you're not going, you're not ready, as the expression is, he's not ready. So you join the next class coming through, and then pick up.
I became a member of Rotary International, and the philosophy is the same as what Kennedy mentioned. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I think this is one of the things that principles of Masonry. You're not looking at what Masonry can do for you.
Right. We have a few out there, we call them Masonry pimps. They try, but you know, we have good leadership from past masters. We have many meetings that wall is full of past masters, and we don't allow very much to get through that's not right. We want everything to be done according to law. We follow Robert's Rules of Order in the meetings, no disruptions. It's done very professionally. Young guys can learn a lot, just learning how to carry a motion, you know, how to amend a motion, those kinds of things. We have schools of instruction. You can learn just about everything, as Past Grandmaster Senna and Tucker. These guys, I look up to these guys. They're giants to me, you know, and I've watched them, and I've learned from them. And we keep trying. We try to get youngsters in, and we'll take older guys too if they're willing to work. But you have to be willing to do something. And Masonry isn't bad if you came there to work, but if you came to do other things, then you might not even get the petition. Right.
Past Master Dorsey, since you work with youth, I'd like to ask about what has been done as far as youth is concerned within the fraternity.
That's one of the areas out here that we're a little weak in. I work with youth every day, being a building principal, a middle school principal. One thing I've done, I involved William Scruggs Military Lodge. Let me back up. 147 adopted Novak King School. And I challenged them. Some of those guys, they would come out, some gave lip service, but we had a computer class for 2 years on Saturday. I had some youngsters that could take a computer apart. They learned the nomenclature of the computer, the structure and function, and they got very good at it. I had one that was in high school. He had to be a junior in order to get in the computer class of that nature. He knew more probably than most that were in there. He's in the Marine Corps now. He's up for sergeant. He's in Japan, but he's in communication. But he was one of our shining stars. But Masons are always challenged to do things in the community. And I often thank William Scruggs for that. I just challenge them. If you guys want to really do something, we don't need pencils and paper. We need that if you're going to donate it, but we really need your time. It's a quality time and make a difference.
What about the merit, the youth? They have youth fraternities that's available.
Yes.
So the argument is there. It's just a matter of maybe if each one of the brothers would have their youngsters come and start it out, that would be a start.
Yes, we have charters for the youth to be involved in activities such as junior lodges, if you will. They too can learn how to become administrators, leaders. They can go into leadership positions and so forth. Problem is, as Past Master Dorsey has alluded to, is that we are weak in that area. And the only reason that we're weak in that area is because a lot of people, I mean, you got to take time and invest it in your kids. We're not a babysitting service, and we ask the parents to bring their youth, be they male or female, to our activities and be prepared to sponsor them, you know, to help them develop, to encourage them to come to the meetings, and to even also make monetary donations, because it's, I learned a long time ago, Masonry is not cheap. You can't come in here unless you're willing to put some money out. I mean, you don't have to be rich, but you have to be willing to come up and, you know, foot the bill when necessary.
Well, Past Master Tucker, I noticed that all of us are dressed the same. Is this the uniform of a Mason? And why black and white?
Well, Brother Brooks, it's the uniform of Masons, Prince Hall Masons, in the state of Illinois.
Okay, okay.
Okay, well, a lot of other states too. But some states, you know, you can go any way you want. You know, when I first came in, you know, we used to go in a way we want. I know when I first came here, my first meeting, everybody dressed in different colored suits, and I think after I was there about 5 or 6 months, everything changed. We started going this black and white, and I think it was for the best.
And we mentioned about public appearances and how do people find out about Mason, but it's a great tribute when you see a large brothers at St. John's Day, and you pick a church. You pick a different church each year, right? It depends on who the master is and what church that they belong to.
Yes.
And you, and normally we have ministers that Masons and preach a sermon about the brotherhood too.
Yes. But you know, I think we have a lot of ministers that, you know, that do not know exactly what Masons do.
Okay.
You know, they kind of shy away from it. But you know, I would say AMEs, we got a lot of ministers that's AMEs, are Masons.
Okay.
Because, you know, the Masonry was shared before the church.
Okay.
Richard Allen started AME Church.
Okay.
Okay. And one of the reasons Prince Masonry started was to give the black man a place to meet and to bury their dead and to congregate.
Okay.
Because you know, back in 1776 or 1765, you know, people of color couldn't go anywhere en masse to do anything. But as Masons, they had the right to congregate together as brothers, to bury their dead, to march on St. John's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of history there that a lot of folks is not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, there's nothing secret about Masonry. You can go into any library in the country and get anything you want to know on Masonry.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not a Mason, there's certain ways you have to get through outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
So you can. I've got a friend of mine. He could probably sit out here and talk to you all day long about Masonry. But when it comes to going through the doors, he don't know how to get through the doors.
Okay, it's the same thing in the church too, as the scripture states that forsaken not the assembly.
Right.
Because there's something about the assembly within a church too, with Masons
Right.
that benefits you. Well, we're going to see Masons at public appearances. We named St. John's Day, but cornerstone layings, and those are requested by the church for Masons to do cornerstone layings. Burial ceremonies, they're done at the request of the families to the burial ceremonies. Banquets, of course, we mentioned black and white ball and so forth. Easter ceremonies, you see Masons up at, what, 5 o'clock in the morning, congregating in church. Installation of officers is done at a public ceremony, very professionally done. This is impressive. Scholarship presentation, senior citizens dinner, you see Masons given as a group, you know, Thanksgiving dinner and also Christmas dinners and so forth. So these are just some of the public appearances that you are going to see Masons. And I'd just like to conclude with past Grandmaster Center to talk about the highest degree in Masonry. And you mentioned that was the 33rd and last degree of Masonry?
That's correct.
Now the other degrees you earn, is that past Master Merit, you mentioned education, you earn those degrees through the education classes, but how do you get your 33rd degree?
Well, we consider that as an honorary degree.
Okay.
And it has to be bestowed upon you by the members of your peers. And what we mean by the members of your peers, someone in your community will have to recommend you to do this.
Okay.
Because you just can't go and take it on your own. And if you haven't done something in the community, if you haven't been a good Mason, if you haven't been a good community worker, you're just not recognized. And then even after you are recognized as your community, you don't know for sure whether the United Supreme Council is going to accept you or not. So this is the 33rd and last degree of Masonry, which is a very educational degree.
And it was a great 121st annual session to see 33rd degree Masons all over the world congregate in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This was a great moment there.
One thing I would like to state, there we had, remember, 3 national anthems sang because the Bahamas was there, Canada was there, and the United States. So we had 3 national anthems that were sang at the United Supreme Council.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have had a discussion on Prince Hall Masonry by distinguished guests from the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Prince Hall affiliation, Northern Jurisdiction, USA Incorporated. We've had past Grandmaster RCC Center, past Grandmaster of Masons for the state of Illinois and jurisdiction. 3 years he served as Grand Master. He is now a Grand Inspector General. And at one time, he probably served as the illustrious deputy for the state of Illinois?
No, I never.
You didn't make it
No, I never wanted
to deputy, okay. Okay, past Master Raymond Tucker, Rufus Mitchell Lodge number 107, and also the North Shore Consistory number 91, a district deputy, the Grand Master. Past Master Donnie Merritt of Rufus Mitchell Lodge number 107, District Deputy Grand Master, and also North Shore Consistory number 91. And our anchor man has been past Master Curtis Dorsey, North Shore of Rufus Mitchell Liza 107, North Shore Consistory number 91. Matter of fact, he's past Commander-in-Chief of North Shore Consistory number 91. We hope that you have benefited from our discussion, and we also may mention past Grand Master Center about one other person. I was at the 121st communication was Robert O. Ralston, Caucasian Sovereign Grand Commander, Supreme Council, Scottish Rite, Northern Masonic Jurisdiction, USA Incorporated. I believe he's from the East Coast and one of the eastern states. And this was the showing that the the recognition we're talking about. And our Sovereign Grand Commander, Samuel Brogdon Jr., is invited to their annual sessions. And so I don't think that we want to dissolve Prince Hall Masonry. You mentioned we want to always have Prince Hall Masonry, but each jurisdiction recognize each other. We're all Masons. Just like we have the different faiths in the churches, we all recognize each other as Christians, you know, but we have our own different faiths. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.